Hey everyone, I just got back from watching Jumanji The Next Level. Now, before I go into what this movie is about, as well as my thoughts, I want to say that the only Jumanji movie I have seen before this one was the one from the 90s with Robin Williams, as well as the animated spinoff. Um, Now, I have heard a little bit about the uh, movie between this one as well as the other one, but mostly my thoughts would be on like someone who has seen that one, the previous movie. With that said, what's this movie about? Basically, this takes place about, I want to say, 2 years after the previous movie. The four main characters from the previous movie have returned, but this time doing they're off in like I believe college, but they're coming home for Christmas, and three of them decide like, hey, let's go meet up for brunch the day after we get back, and they had asked kind of Spencer of one of them named Spencer to, hey, we're meeting up. Are you gonna come on and meet us? Who does play? Yeah, I'll be there. With Spencer is that you kind of see that he's not confident with himself at the moment. There's something wrong with him, and when he doesn't show up for their brunch, his friends decide to go to his house. But when they go, I actually go to the house. They meet Spencer's dad, not dad, his grandfather Eddie, as well as his grandfather's friend Milo. While there, all these his friends was a Fridge, Bethany, I believe. I'm gonna call her Beth. And then there was Martha. They hear the drums, and these drums. They realize that, hey, it's Jumanji. Let's find it. And when they do, it's actually a video game instead of a board game. It's mashed up. They realize that they're like, okay, let's not freak out. He probably did not get sucked back into the game. He's probably trying to fix it for who knows why. But when they try to call him, because first they think, oh, he's probably getting some parts for it. When they call him, they realize, and they found out that his cell phone is still there. And that's when they realize he got sucked back into the game. So they realize that, hey, we need to go back and get him. But in the moment that Martha had touched the controller, Fringe Martha had gotten sucked in, as well as Eddie and Milo. So while which leaves Beth outside in the real world, and when she realized that, hey, I did not get sucked in, and she doesn't know why, so she goes to the other guy that was in the previous movie who got sucked in as well. She goes to him for help. Meanwhile, Fridge and Martha, as well as Eddie and Milo, had to go find Spencer, as well as trying to complete Jumanji again. This time it's different. It's not taking place in a desert, a forest like last time, but in a desert. And this time, the new bad guy is a warlord instead of a hunter, I believe. Or I'm getting that mixed up with the other Jumanji. But this time, Spencer is not the character he was in the previous movie. This time, Spencer is this a female Asian avatar who is also a cat burglar, and the one who took the avatar the Rock avatar is Eddie, and Milo had taken uh, the zoologist character, which meant that Fringe ended up being in the Mac guy in Jet Black, but Martha still had the same character as last time. So, that's basically what it is. They have to go get Spencer, beat the game, come back out. But they do meet up with Beth and the other guy who was in another movie towards the in the last third of the movie to help beat the game. With that, now my thoughts. I actually like this movie. I might go back and watch the other previous movie, maybe review it. But I did have fun actually watching this movie. I actually went with my family, and it was funny going up. My sibling and one of my siblings was like, "Hey, you haven't seen the previous movie. You're gonna get lost." I'm like, I bet they're going to shine out kind of like a light for anyone who had not seen the previous movie. But I think I get the idea since I did see the one from the 90s. So I knew that there was going to be where throughout the movie they were going to come to a realization, kind of as growing up, basically, and that does happen. But it the only ones that kind of happens is with Martha, Spencer, Eddie, and Milo. Now, with Spencer and Martha, it was kind of small. It was basically with Spencer, the whole reason why he went back into Jumanji was he was kind of feeling down with himself. He wanted that same feeling he had when they went to Jumanji the first time, and that when he saw pictures of Martha on social media with all these other people, he kind of had doubts with himself. But Martha kind of reassures him, like, hey, every time that she sees him, she knows that she can show her true self to the other people that she's hanging out with. But it was mostly the development was with Eddie and Milo. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with that. It's basically those two were friends. They had owned a restaurant together, but because of Milo wanted to retire, they lost contact with each other. And because Eddie was upset that Milo had done it, he wanted to continue working at the restaurant. He was not ready to retire. And because of that conflict, they kind of haven't spoke to each other. But there was also a reason why Milo actually came back to meet with Eddie. But I'm not going to go into detail. It is a tender moment. And it kind of was, the ending. But yeah, I mean, it's really touching. I mean, it in a way kind of gives these two old men kind of like one last adventure together and kind of rekindle their friendship. But there's a lot of humor in this movie. Especially with Milo and Eddie, because Martha and Frisch are like everyone is trying to explain to them. Well, most of them were trying to explain to them that, hey, this is a video game. We have been like, it's kind of like experienced players are trying to explain something to newcomers, especially or newcomers or someone who's or their grandfathers, like, they're trying to explain this game to them, but they're like, what are you talking about? Like that generation gap. and that's kind of hilarious. Is because I have some I know some I have some family members who were like they don't know video games as much. Some of my older family members, they don't understand video games. I'm trying to explain to them like this is what it is. Very simple. And they were like giving this expression like I have no whatever you say. I have no clue, especially with grandparents. Um, and most of the end, like most of the humor is that, but it's like mostly besides that, Fred is really hilarious. And the moment he heard the drums, he's like, I'm tapping out. I'm not going back to Jumanji. And I could tell that, yeah, he probably had gone through really, really a rough time in the previous movie. And I think that's a good thing. It's like, even though you haven't seen the previous movie, you kind of get hints like they had gone through this journey in this previous movie. And you like really kind of get that, and they're like, okay, yeah, there might be for people who haven't seen the previous movie, they probably won't under. They might, and this is actually I think the best way for people who may not have seen the previous movie want to go see the other movie to kind of understand. And there might be some things that some clues from the previous game that might show up in here, which is funny. Like Jet Black's character, they keep referring him as the map guy. And there were some hints like, hey, these characters have new abilities because this is, kind of different. It's like almost they kind of like hacked, like this lost, kind of like this, kind of like a level that was buried under code that didn't actually make in the game, but it's still on the software, kind of feel, and or like DLC, and like was it with the character that The Rock plays, they found out that he actually has now this time around a weakness, which is like a switchblade, I think it was, and then at first they think it was a weapon. Like, really, his weakness is a weapon. It turns out it's actually a person with the name Switchblade, and they're like, oh. And some they got new abilities, like was it the zoologist character avatar now is can actually talk to animals, and was it Martha's no the actor that Martha plays has a new ability where she can use nunchucks, stuff like that. That's like added, and then I want to see as someone who just has seen the Jumanji from the 90s, and then this one, it is actually kind of different. I mean, this time they actually went into the game instead of where like they're in the real world. Jumanji comes out into our world. This time they go in and they experience the weird the weirdness of Jumanji, and in a way I kind of like that, and because it does give me when I saw the one from the 90s, it's like I kind of wonder, it's like, what was it like for Robin Williams' character to be in Jumanji for about 20 years, and this time I was like, we kind of do, but this time we get new characters for with Eddie and Milo as kind of like the audience surrogates, like letting them know, like especially who haven't seen the previous movie, it's like, hey, this is what it is like now. And there is kind of like a hint toward the end of the movie where it's like, the thing is, one of the heaters at Milo's house had gone out. There was a repair guy showed up at the end of the movie, conveniently, and he sees the broken Jumanji, and he makes a comment that he's a gamer, and then we switch back to Spencer and his friends, as well as Eddie at the diner, and Spencer and his friends are leaving, and all of a sudden here comes a herd of ostriches just running down the street, and they were like, oh, you can tell it's like, oh no, Jumanji, it has to be Jumanji. But with that said, I want to say this is definitely something to go see, but keep in mind the only thing for those who may be wondering about showing it to little kids, there was like the only thing that comes to mind was, there was like a little bit of, there was only like a moment where there was a kind of like a adult joke in there, and there was like some swearing, so that depends. That's the only thing that you may want to consider of showing any kids under 12. This movie, just other than that, it's like, yeah, it's a good movie. Definitely go see it. It probably, what I suggest seeing the previous movie, it depends on the person, basically. As someone who hasn't, it did actually make me want to go see the previous movie. But I do, it actually depends. As someone who, yeah, it actually does kind of depends. Like, if you don't want to see it, the previous movie, this one kind of gives you a little hints about it. But for me, it did actually make me want to go see the previous movie just to see what it was like. But that said, yeah, this is a good recommendation, especially if you want to sit down and watch it with a family. Well, that's it. See you guys in the next video.